Let's move on to the cultural dimension of space, which goes back to the pioneer of intercultural research, Edward T. Hall. This video is intended to give you a brief overview of the topics of interpersonal distance, private and public space, and the peach coconut model by the social psychologist Kurt Lewin. People socialized in Germany or the United Kingdom may notice different cultural influences in the area of spatial understanding when meeting and talking to people from Southern Europe or South America, and vice versa, of course. While in the United States or Germany a distance of 1.10 meters or 1.20 meters is considered normal in terms of a personal space, further south the perceived normal distance can be as little as 60 to 80 centimeters. The attributions of uninformed people are therefore easy to predict. A German may think that the Argentinian is getting quite close to him and is up in his space, while an Italian who meets a Norwegian may feel that the Norwegian is quite distant and cold, therefore. The phenomenon is known under the terms of interpersonal distance or proxemics. You can find more information about this in the appendix of this video on your YouTube or your online learning or face-to-face course. In this video we will be concerned with private and public space. First of all, the question arises as to what is defined as public and what is defined as private space. In cultures that tend to be individualistic, a young person's own room is certainly part of private space. If we think of the private home, the question arises to how and for whom is this private space open? How is the boundary between the private and the parts of the space that are public for visitors determined, and what taboos and prohibitions are there? But even in spaces defined as public, the question of who this public space is actually open to is quite appropriate. For example, a shopping center is in principle open to everyone, but with the restriction that this public space should be used for shopping. Certain hotels, bars or clubs are theoretically public, but not for everyone, only those who consume. Thus, you may be asked to leave a cafe if you sit there all day using their Wi-Fi and not ordering anything. Another question arises with regard to rules within these public spaces. For example, in a cemetery, in a graveyard, in a church or library in Germany, you will probably try to speak more quietly, as a respect for the readers or for the people who have passed away. There are many unwritten rules. Do people line up in the bakery, or are they, loosely arranged in front of the display, remembering who was there first and who was there after? Do people form a crowd or a line before getting on the bus or train? And what would it be like in the same situation in front of red London bus? Social hierarchies can also be seen in rooms, such as the seating arrangement in a Chinese meeting room, where the highest ranking person usually has the seat opposite of the entrance and exit. Finally, we look at the peach coconut model by the German social psychologist Kurt Lewin. He compares cultures that tend to have a large public space to a peach, which has a hard core but a lot of sweet and juicy flesh surrounding it. The coconut, on the other hand, has a hard shell that is difficult to penetrate. As a German immigrant to the United States, Kurt Lewin must have experienced the differences himself, as the United States is more of a peach culture, while Germany is a coconut culture. Many areas, such as your own car, your apartment, are open to other people in peach cultures. Income and salary tend to be discussed as openly as cholesterol levels. Guests can usually help themselves from the host's fridge, and the furniture belongs to the landlord, for example. All of these areas and information are defined as private and coconut cultures. In a coconut culture, a separation of living spheres, private and professional, is common, and it is therefore relatively difficult to make friends with each other. These can lead to misunderstandings between peaches and coconuts. People from coconut culture have a supposedly positive experience when they receive signals from the peach cultures, and these signals come from an area that is normally very private for the coconut people, which creates the impression that you can make friends with the people from a peach culture very quickly. This can quickly after this lead to a disappointment later on when the coconut people may start finding peach people rather superficial. The topics of attribution and the value and development square in the video about communication are very informative and an addition to this model coconut and peach. There are also correlations here with the cultural dimension of individualism and collectivism. On YouTube, I encourage you to leave your remarks in the comments and of course to like and to subscribe. Thank you for your valued cooperation and feedback on the seminar and on the online learning platforms.